That's generally what every business person wants in their business, isn't it? That's what you're striving for, grow the business. When you look at that list and you think about if you directly try to accomplish those things, sooner or later you will be pushed to the edge of doing, number one, unethical things, and number two, of seeing your people as items, as commodities to be used to achieve it. If you focus on this, these are the people issues in your business, and your greatest resource is your people. I don't care what your business is. I don't care how much investment you have in plant and equipment. That's going nowhere without your people. And so many companies say, yes, our greatest resources are people. When you walk through the door, you find out within 5 minutes it's not true. If you focus on these kinds of goals, what will happen is the other outcomes you want will come to you automatically. People who are invested in these ways will deliver to you the outcomes you're looking for.
Breakthrough innovation results when we abandon established thinking patterns and reject all limitations. Let me give you a real-world example of this in the engineering realm. A number of years ago, I was working with a defense contractor, and the project was to develop an automated ammunition suite for a 155 millimeter howitzer, armored vehicle. Now those shells, they're bullet shaped, they're steel, they stand about 3 feet tall, and they weigh roughly 65 pounds. The shell looks like this. So this kind of shape. What's important here is that because of the shape, the center of gravity is not in the middle, it's down here. And so when you're trying to move that shell, lift it and turn it, center of gravity is working against you. Now, what's also important in an armored vehicle out of the battlefield is power management. Power is worth gold. We were trying to move out of the hydraulic realm into the all-electric drive realm, probably 280 volt kind of range. When you do that, it takes an enormous amount of power to move a shell like that. Well, this day we were in the engineering department, sitting around a large round table, and the director of engineering, an older gentleman, was sitting directly across from me. And we had plans and drawings and all kinds of technical data on the table. And we're struggling with this problem because we could not get the power to move these shells the way we wanted to. You have to remember, we're talking about a burst rate of fire of about 10 rounds a minute and a sustained rate of fire of about 5, 6, 7 rounds a minute. That's a lot of power, a lot of movement of these heavy shells back and forth. And suddenly, as we're sitting there, he has the last set of drawings in front of him, directly across from me, so I'm looking at him upside down. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, what are we doing here? Why are we killing ourselves trying to fight the center of gravity? Take the same shell, put them upside down, your CG is now here. What does this mean? When you bring an arm up to move the shell, you grab it in 2 places like this, and as you begin to swing it down, what's happening? Its weight is bringing it down, requiring much less power. So I just said to everybody, let's put the shells upside down. Let's put them on their nose, hang them from their bottom. And everybody burst out laughing. Everybody except the senior engineer, the director of the department. He just sat there thinking, and everybody laughed and laughed and laughed, and finally calmed down. And he said, he's right. Put them upside down. Everybody said, you can't do that. It's ridiculous. And he said, why not? They just said, you can't do that. He said, why not? And then nobody said anything. Well, we did a little bit of checking, and we found out that there's one shell, the Willie Pete, white phosphorus, that you cannot maintain upside down a long period of time. But it can for a short period of time, well within our range. And the rest of the shells, it's immaterial. So we came up with a design in which the shells were upside down and reduced our power dramatically. Now, what's the principle here? When we abandon established thinking patterns and we reject all limitations, it opens the world to us. There's almost nothing we cannot do with that mindset. They were an aerospace and defense firm, and they had been working for a number of months, actually a year or longer, on a proposal for a U.S. organization. And it so happened that that proposal was due the next afternoon, early afternoon, in the United States. What they didn't count on is on that last day, they discovered, they were already late, and they discovered they had a costing error in their cost buildup. Had to go back through and start again and recost everything. Well, we were now well into the afternoon, and it was clear no one was getting on an airplane with that proposal to bring it to the United States that day. In fact, it was clear it would take much of the night to fix the problem. Then it struck me, why not take the Concorde? So I called and checked on the times, and indeed, I could take the Concorde the next morning, I don't remember the exact time, 9 or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, fly over to New York, actually arrive there through the wonderful time travel of the Concorde earlier than I had left, if you look at the clock. So that's what I did. My reason for telling you this story is simply this. We all get into habits. We get into ways of doing things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes when we get into a crisis, we revert deeper and deeper into our old ways, and we forget that there may be other ways. They all knew the Concorde flew. They had all seen the Concorde. In fact, their office was very close to Heathrow. You could actually see it take off and land each day. There's always another option. We must look until we find it. We must be creative. We must be innovative in our approach to find the option to succeed.
Last night after dinner, you'll recall, we all came downstairs to the main lodge room. We went over by the fireplace, and there was just a fantastic fire blazing away in the fireplace. We pulled up chairs, and we got close and got warm and started to talk about what we've been discussing the last several days. Without our noticing it, over the course of the evening, the fire continued to burn down. And then about 10:30 at night, Kathy, I believe you were the one who went up there and just kind of mounded all those hot embers together and pushed them together. And when you did that, within less than a minute, I think, the fire roared up again and we had a blazing fire. That's very much a picture of the synergy we've been talking about for your organization. Kathy, when you did that, I didn't see you put any wood on that fire, did you?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. See, all of the resources, all of the fuel that was needed for a roaring fire was there. But it had all fallen down, and each ember was burning on its own, independently, without any heat from the others. That's what happens in organizations. You have all the programs, all the services, all the products, all the projects, all the things we've been talking about this last 3 days here on this retreat. You have it all in place already. You don't need more resources at this point. What you need to do is integrate those resources. Just like Kathy did with that fire. She basically integrated all those individual embers that were burning alone and pulled them together, and then you got a tremendous fire from that without any new fuel, any new resources. That's what we need to do as an organization. We need to integrate everything you are doing so that we get the maximum bang for the buck. By doing that, we can end up with outcomes, exponential outcomes, that are much greater than the sum of the individual parts of the resources that you have.